Welcome, my dear audience and friends, to Cancer Convos with Grace B. As usual, this is your host, Grace B, coming to you from New York City, the city that never sleeps and is home to Cancer Convos with Grace B. So, as you guys know, this is Season 2, Episode 3. Once again, I thank you all for the amazing support on my Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube platforms. I'm so glad to be able to share vital information with anyone and everyone in the cancer space. I'm certain that one day we'll be able to find a cure. If you're a newbie, this show seeks to demystify the cancer disease by making you the patient, you the survivor, you the caregiver, ensure that you participate in your treatments, your healing, and your aftercare. Also, you need to thrive. You need as much information to thrive as well. Find time for your medical checks, question everything, research everything. Make sure to have second, third, or even fourth opinions. Health is the real wealth. So in this episode, I will be discussing something that pertains to everyone, even the very best of us. And yes, I'm talking about confidence, okay? Confidence is huge in every aspect of our lives. Many people ask how I exude such confidence on screen, and I tell them, I laugh. I say, okay, wait until you see me off screen, then you'll be able to know. But anyway, we all know that as cancer patients and survivors, we go through crazy periods. We lose our self-esteem, we lose our confidence. Sometimes we're unable to go out there to face the world again after what we have been through. So these are things that I tell everybody, take one day at a time, one step at a time. We can't rush everything, okay? Cancer may make you feel less confident because you lose your hair, you lose your eyelashes, you have crazy looking nails, your skin becomes like chalk, all these things affects confidence. And so this is where my next amazing guest from Brisbane, Australia, comes in. With her social, academic, and theatrical skills, this lady shares the information that she has, wealth of knowledge and everything, to help people find their voice and build their confidence. As the founder and CEO of Polish Your Pitch, she is doing some amazing things in this regard and getting great results and reviews at the same time. She will be walking us down and walking us through how to take back our confidence. So grab your notepads and listen carefully. Without much ado, I welcome Frances Cahill to the show. Welcome, Frances, and so lovely to see you.
Thank you, Grace. It's an absolute honour to be part of your show and to be speaking very quietly about confidence. It is just such a thrill. I'm so excited.
I'm so glad that you found time to come and be with us and share your expertise in this very, very vital subject. So let's dive straight into the show. Tell us a bit about yourself, growing up, family, education, childhood experiences in brief, so that the audience can get to know the kind of person you are.
Certainly. Thank you for the opportunity. I was born in 1957, so yes, I'm old. I'm a boomer.
You're not old at all.
I am the fifth child of Jack and Doreen. Jack and Doreen were a bit of a fixture in our local area. Sadly, Jack passed away in 1965, and I was 7. Mum was left with 5 kids, ranging from 16 to 7. Both of them had served in the war, in World War II, in the army, and Dad's injuries had been from the war, so Mum became a war widow. That meant a lot in terms of making sure that we were looked after in our health aspects and education and those sort of things, but it was a struggle. I'll be honest about that. However, while we were really quite poor, our house was always filled with joy and music and there was never a person who wasn't welcome to come through the door.
Oh.
From my mum, I always learned about service to others, that wherever you are in life, there is always something that you can do to help somebody else. While I wasn't very long in with my dad, but the one thing that I do remember is love of family from him. One of my enduring memories is on Friday nights, he used to bring home a huge packet of fish and chips wrapped in newspaper, and that would be the family feast.
Okay.
That is one of the smells of that and the sound of the paper. That was just a very special memory. So love of family and service to others. That's the thing that I remember, and I don't think there's any better way for me to live my life.
Oh.
I was the first of my family to go to university. They were free in that 72 to 75 year gap. I studied lots of things and I wandered through life, I suppose. I did end up doing sociolinguistics as my major academic study, and we'll come back to that later.
Linguistics, right?
Yeah, sociolinguistics. So it's the
Okay.
study of language in society and
Yeah.
communication. I was very privileged to do some of that sort of work in one of the First Nation remote communities in Cape York, Western Queensland, the top end of Queensland, in terms of language is culture for First Nations people. And I don't in any way say that I'm a spokesman for those people, but I was so privileged to understand the value of language and communication in a language and culture that was completely foreign to me. It was such a privilege, and it made me learn so much. I don't think I've got anything else to say. I got a very good job in the government doing stuff in relation to linguistics. So I was very, very lucky. Yes, I think that's all I want to say.
Okay, I need to allow you, feel free to, bring out, because those experiences actually mold you or prepare you for other things in life. And that's what's leading to the next question.
Yes.
You are now the CEO, owner, founder, or whatever, of Polish Your Pitch. And
Yes.
Was there anything during your experiences that enabled you to go into this niche? Before then, please tell us exactly what you do in this regard.
What I do in Polish Your Pitch?
Yes,
Explain
to them.
I have developed a series of programs. One is called the Sexy Six to Effective Public Speaking, and my clients and I work through a set of 6 steps, looking at audience identification, looking at voice projection, a whole bunch of things in that 6 steps.
Okay,
so that
but does your what I'm trying to say is that your experiences, your background and everything, did they prepare you for your being able to set up something like Polish Your Pitch?
Oh yes, absolutely. I get it right. I've got it right now. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
I suppose, no, I have to be certain that it was during my marriage. I was married for 27 years. Probably the first 10 was fairly standard, I suppose. But in the last 15, my husband's anger and depression became something that I accommodated. And when the kids came along, I became the protection for them against his anger and depression and a whole bunch of things.
Okay.
I came into the marriage. There was a day in Hobart 10 years ago where I said, I can't do this anymore. I have become nothing like the person I was when I came into this marriage. My confidence was in shred, and this was a person who'd been able to speak to thousands, who'd sung in front of people, who had led delegations within government, etc., etc. And at this age, at 50, I said, I cannot do this anymore. And I was speaking to my children at the time, saying something like, I know your dad loves you, but he doesn't know how to show it. And I thought, I can't do this. I simply cannot do this anymore. As I said, my confidence was completely shattered. And so I decided to leave the marriage, take the kids with me and go back home to Brisbane. As I said, we were in Hobart. I was astounded at the effect of living, trying to be somebody else for 15 years, what the effect had been on me. I couldn't recognise me anymore. I never sang. I was very fearful. It just wasn't the same person. And I said, and my kids were depending on me, I said, well, okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are the skills that you have? What do you know about to get you through, to start looking at things like going back to work and even just navigating, your social things that you do each day. I will be honest and say I was a zombie for about 6 months. I barely functioned. At least the kids got fed, but that was about all. So then I said, I have the skills, I have the knowledge, I can build myself back up. And that's where eventually my 10 confidence boosters came from.
That is where Polish Your Pitch came from.
That's where Polish Your Pitch came from, saying that I got to a point where I was able to go through the door and ask for a job or present or whatever it was.
Excellent.
But I needed a systematic way to do that. And I became very aware, I suppose, of my body and my responses, my fear responses, what anxiety was about, and yes, depression and all of those things, but those to me aren't the important things. It was me being able to recognise what that was and say, okay, I want to change that. And so from that point, I then started developing what Polish Your Pitch was about. And that is, once again, service to others. That if somebody else is in that space of vulnerability, if someone else is in that fear or anxious or, lack of confidence space, there's somebody you can help. There's something that you can do. You don't have to feel powerless.
Absolutely. That is amazing. So going by what you have said now, and probably the people that you have coached and your clients, maybe
yes.
you coach corporate people or corporate institutions, or maybe individuals and everything.
Mm-hmm.
On a scale of 1 to 10 regarding these confidence boosters, which you're going to guide us through later.
Yes.
What, on a scale,
mm-hmm.
what do you think, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself?
Oh, I'd like to say 10.
Great. And your
averages.
Nice, because that is confidence. Do you understand?
Yes, absolutely.
You're saying 10, it is confidence. It shows that you're confident about what you do.
Yes.
And by you saying 10, it means that you get amazing feedbacks from your clients and the individuals that you coach and everything. That's fantastic. Yes. So your coaching ethics actually is something that they really appreciate, right?
Oh, I think so. And because my best work and the ones that I love the most and the buzz is when I work face to face with people, and it can be on Skype as well. It doesn't have to be. It's nicer if you can see the person breathing and
of course, yeah.
But the buzz that I get is when I can see the person, the switch has gone, and I can do this. Yes, you can. It's quite indulgent, I suppose, for me when I can see someone saying, "Yeah, I can do this. I can do it."
How do you get the word out? Because you see, for people to seek help in that regard,
yes,
they need to know that there's someone like you that is there to help them. What should I say? Kind of overcome this elephant that stares in their face. How do they approach you, or do you read them? How is it that they get to know about you?
I mean, a lot of my clients have come from when I've been at business networking events,
right,
where they've, stood up and delivered, frankly, a very poor presentation.
Okay.
And then they'll see me do what I do, and then they'll come over quietly and say, "Could I have your card?" Of course you can have my card. Let's talk. I'd have a Facebook page, a Polish a Pitch page. I have a YouTube channel. I also have a LinkedIn account, and I get a lot of response from those. I try to keep it happy and cheerful and positive, but I have to also take a serious approach, because we are talking about people wanting to change their lives, and that's not a light-hearted step to take. And it does change people's lives when they can find the confidence to be able to take that step.
Absolutely.
They can be ready to engage with their life. If you're frightened, if you're scared, if you are underconfident, you're standing back. One thing, you don't engage with the world, but for me, and I really believe this, Grace, is that the world is robbed of what you can offer if you aren't able to share it. There is so much that we can learn from each other. And it's really important. You know, equally though, I'm not saying that every person must speak every time. What I like to say is that we can work so that you've got the skills and the confidence to speak when you want to.
Exactly. So,
you know,
for many like us, you know, like I said earlier, that
yes,
the lack of self-confidence affects everybody.
Yes.
But extreme cases happen of lack of self-confidence happens to people like us, because we're not just talking about the emotional now, the physical. We have lost our hair, we have lost our, you know, glow, we have lost everything about us, and by so doing, you know, the world is visual. They react to the visuals. And so for people like us that have lost these, for that patient that that will be sitting watching us with no hair, no nails, no glow, no nothing, how do you think you know, vulnerability creeps in and all that, you know? So now tell us, what are these confidence boosters to be able to help that person right now watching?
Okay, what I want to take your point, Grace, and then we'll hang on, I'll come to the confidence boosters, but I wanted to take your point in saying that the physical changes, you and anybody else who is an absolute champion in terms of surviving cancer, you know your body's best. You are aware of your bodies more than anybody, I would say. And yes, we're talking about hair loss and all of the things that that are a physical manifestation of what your body's been going through. What I want to encourage you to think is that it is your body and you are in charge of it now. What my confidence boosters are going to show you is that using your mind is a way to make the changes in your body. When we're talking about fear, anxiety, confidence break, I suppose I'll probably let's call it the fear response. You know, when you're standing back and your heart's beating faster and your breathing becomes shallow and you start to tap, your eyes are darting everywhere. It is a body response, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm saying you are in touch with your bodies, and while maybe you're thinking your body hasn't been serving you very well, at this point, let's make sure that you can take the confidence step with the body you've got now and the mind, the really powerful mind that you all develop. I know you do when you get through the stages of cancer and you're right, okay, I've got through it, what's next? So for me, these are 10 simple steps. You don't have to spend any money. You use your body and what's around you the main thing is to stop the fear spiral. Am I saying that I can get rid of your fear or increase your confidence forever? Absolutely not. But what I am saying is that for that moment, when the response starts to happen, you say, okay, I'll take this step and it'll stop it. I'll be honest with you, I had some medical procedures recently, and I was in this huge hospital room with lots of machines, and I was there by myself. My heart started pounding. I felt really, really vulnerable. And I said, well, okay, Fran, this is the time to start on confidence booster number 10. And I did. And I'll lead in now to what confidence booster number 10 is. Number 10 is stop, think, start from 100 and count backwards in sevens.
In
Most people
sevens.
go, yes, what? So that'll be 100, 93, 86,
70, 78 and backwards. Yeah.
Backwards, and then you think, oh, was that right? And then you do anything other than think about your current fear. I've used that one myself time and time again. That's number 1. Does it stop everything? No, but it makes you take your mind off the situation, and it only takes a second or two. You're interrupting the spiral. Number 9 is your voice. If you're starting to feel panicky and your throat is constricting, just hum. Just warm up your voice. Can be a quiet one, but you do need to have the vibration of the voice in your throat, because, as I say, we're bringing yourself back into your body to affect the response, to have an effect on the response. So choose your favourite anthem, anything, so that you feel the sound in your throat. Number 8, you can do it while you're sitting down, is just where you have your feet, you feel the floor through the bottoms of your feet. Or if you're in a wheelchair, you feel the feeling of your chair on the floor, your hands on the side of your arms, the arms of the chair. Connect yourself with the ground. What are you doing? Stopping the fear spiral. Just by sitting there and going, and if you're able, press your toes, the balls of your feet down into the floor and say, okay, I can do this, I can do this. Number 8, no money spent yet. Hey, Grace.
You're doing well.
Number 7, we all do this anyway, but number 7 is breathe. If you are confronting a situation where your breath is starting to get shallow, or you're getting the shakes, you say, oh, okay, I'll just breathe. Breathe in for 3. Let's all do it together. Breathe in for 3. Hold it for 3. Out for 3.
Yeah, I did.
While you're doing that, we've stopped that fear spiral. So important. Number 6, I call it the talisman, and that can be a bracelet. It can be a button on your cuff. It can be, as you can see here, Grace, I wear this every day of my life. Since my mum gave it to me when I was 50, I touch this. If I'm feeling a bit anxious about something, I touch it.
This is my mom's as well.
Absolutely, Grace.
This is my mom's as well.
Yes. So put it on and feel nice, but also in that moment of fear or panic or underconfidence, just touch it so that you're re-engaging with your body and re-engaging with the memory, whatever that may be.
Interesting.
Number 5 is imagine. Now, depending on what the circumstances, imagine's a very wide one, but depending on the circumstances that you're in, whether it is you're feeling fearful about going through the door, coming back to work for the first time. For me, I imagined going through the door confidently. That's all I did. I imagined myself taking 3 steps through that door and another deep breath. And it doesn't matter what you feel like before or after that, imagine for the imagined period of 2 or 3 seconds, you're not feeling. Imagine if you're going to give a speech, imagine it in your mind that the first sentence is fluent, and it will be. Because you set yourself up, your mind is telling your body, okay, we're going to do this. We've got this. We can do it.
Yeah.
I use that one a lot. Number 4 is my absolute favourite, and it can be either put on your favourite perfume or, for the chaps, your favourite aftershave. But don't overdo it, boys. We've all smelled fruit, and and ladies too. Don't overdo the aroma, so that it gives you a pleasant smell. Of course, you smell nice anyway, but it transports your mind into somewhere else. For me, it can be the memory of a smell is just as powerful.
Mm-hmm.
The memory of fresh mown grass, the memory of smelling a beautiful rose, the memory of your mum's powder. The memory is so evocative, and that has been proven. For me, if I am seeking a smell, I go back to the dried orange peel smell, and that takes me immediately back to my grade 7, that's elementary school, the places where our school cases were held. Okay. And there'd always be an old dried up orange peel. And my school days were some of my happiest. And so by me remembering that smell, it brings back all of those great memories, and my spirit lifts and the fear's gone. That takes a little bit of extra effort, but it's still only your mind working against yourself. So I'm sure there are many, many smells that will be of interest to people, but you remember it and have that as part of your arsenal, your set of tricks, your bag of tricks against fear and anxiety. Mm-hmm. Number 3 is also very easy, and you've been doing a lot of it, Grace, is to smile. Just smile to yourself, to everybody.
That's what I do. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. Now, sometimes you think this doesn't look like a real smile. I'm really frightened, but your brain doesn't know the difference. The muscles that you use to smile, just if you can ensure that you feel the smile as you're making it, it is going to lift. It's going to interrupt your fear spiral. It's going to disrupt the habit of underconfidence. Awesome. I can do this. I can do this. You feel wise. You feel powerful. Hey, put on your Mona Lisa.
In control. That control starts building up.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, as I say, this happens for a moment, and it needs to be done moment and moment and moment and moment. It's to build up the counter to the habit that you rightly have from all of the stuff that you've gone through to the point now, okay, change the habit, but in the nicest and easiest possible way, and that's to smile. Number 2. Now, I need to stand up for this, so I hope I don't go out of shot. I'll turn the camera around.
Okay.
And number 2 is the superhero stance. Easy enough to do. Now, you can't see my feet, but they're at shoulder width apart on the floor. I put my hands on my hips, elbows projecting out. Take a deep breath and say, my name is Frances Cahill. If you do it with me, my name is Grace. My name is Peter. My name is Mary. It has been scientifically proven, Grace, that if you do this, and for 2 minutes, I say 20 seconds is probably enough. If you do this for 2 minutes, you actually change the levels of testosterone and cortisol in your body. Testosterone meaning regaining power, and cortisol, the stress goes down. Hey, all you're doing is standing up with your hands on your hips. Doesn't cost you any money, but it does allow you to break that fear spiral. So that's number 2. Number 1, and this is where the ninja public speaking coach comes from, Grace. It's one that I've developed, and it has to do with the background is sociolinguistics. It is theatrical techniques in terms of diaphragmatic breathing and all of that sort of stuff. But it's so much fun to do, and I love to see a room full of people doing this. So once again, feet shoulder width apart, your hands, elbows are into your waist, hands facing upwards, and clench your fists. Bend your knees, and what I'm asking you to do is bark from deep within your belly, not in your throat. And so it then becomes a diaphragmatic grunt, but I much prefer to call it.
So it's like one of these sumo wrestlers kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. But I call it a ninja hunt. So we're going to do it for you. Ready? You ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So we're all much a bit more elegant than sumo wrestling, but I can guarantee, Grace, that if you do that, every time you feel anxiety or fear coming on, you can't feel the two at once. You can't be fearful and you can't be You can't be fearful and
have
anxious while you're doing that.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So once again, interrupting that fear spiral. And there we have the number 10 of the best confidence boosters that I have.
Wow, this is awesome. Honestly, I'm going to practice those last two.
Yeah. You've already got number 3
yeah,
wide open.
already have my smile.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but this is amazing. This is amazing, honestly. So let us reiterate and underscore again, counting backwards in sevens, and then our voices as well, maybe by humming a bit from the belly, and then our feet on the floor. What is it? That in order to stop the fear from spiraling, then do a breathing method, inhaling, for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and then exhaling. And then we now have the talisman, anything a loved one has or that, we could hold on to. Then we imagine, our sense of imagination as well, right? Okay. And then what else? Then the perfume. Having something that would take us back to probably a wonderful place in our lives to transport us back and all that. And I think the smile and the last two that you have done. So how did I do?
Fantastic. You're on the money. You're on the money, Grace.
Thank you so much. So yeah. So as we got like someone like you, because we're all learning every day. As regards the polish your pitch.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give me? How would you rate me on my show?
Oh, wow.
I just wanted to know so that you're the master, you're the ninja. So I'd like to know if there are any things I should stop doing or not stop or continue doing, or if I have, just being as objective as you can. Yes, I'm the host, but you're the expert here.
No, Grace, let's call it 9.5. Okay, 10 sounds a bit rude and sycophantic, but it's not at all. In terms of, and I'm not dissembling, I promise you I'm not dissembling, but in terms of what you are doing here, you are creating a space where we as experts or people who have gone through this can have a comfortable space, and the space is one where we help. And for me, that's perfect. It's perfect. The way that you clearly enunciate, I'm a bit concerned if some of your audience don't understand my Australian accent. I should have subtitles.
No, I mean, it's basically British, and I come from a British background, so that's okay.
All good. We can tick that off. In terms of the give and take that you give to and I've watched a few of the podcasts, the give and take that you have with your guests is very smooth, very welcoming. It is a partnership. We share the space.
Awesome.
Neither of us are put into a position of superiority. It is very much an equal sharing. So for that, it's 10 out of 10.
Oh, bless.
For it'll, and that's really important. Not obviously in the podcasting world, but for me, when we're looking at your audience, as you've said, who are cancer survivors, and these are conversations about cancer, we're talking about a highly charged topic for each and every person. We're not speaking in a highly charged way. We're speaking in a way that says that you aren't alone. We're speaking in ways that these are ways to help. And to me, that's 100 out of 10.
Oh, bless you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Coming from you, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. I'm so thrilled to be part of it.
I'm happy you're here, honestly. I really am happy you're here. So while, knowing that you're Australian, and in the last couple of months, I've had a lot of Australian guests. Remember, I told you
Yes, you
that,
did,
you
from
know, in
Adelaide and
Melbourne and
Melbourne.
everything. I'm
Mhm.
like, hey, I think God is showing me something. Maybe I'm going to visit Australia one of these days.
Oh, you bet. You bet. Fish and chips down at Sutton's Beach.
Oh, wow. I love chips. That takes me back to my British school days, you know,
Uh-huh.
A
Yep.
levels. So I've been doing a lot of reading and research about Australia and what the government is doing
Mhm.
as regards trying to eliminate cancer. I mean, cervical
Yes.
cancers, they're doing a lot. Blood cancers, leukemia, they're doing a lot.
Mhm.
I come from a developing country, I would say,
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
in Africa, and we are still trying our best to see that we create some kind of avenue to be at par with those developing countries that are doing quite well as well, and trying to make
Yes.
their mark in in
Mhm.
in helping cancer patients and creating awareness and everything.
Yes.
What do you think has been the reason for Australia's success? Because it's highly successful
Mm.
in trying to nip cancer in the bud.
Mhm.
What do you think is their trick, the trick of the trade? Let's put it that way.
I suppose that it's probably been within the last, say, 30 years where, um, whether you like it or not, we'd have a very good public health system in that anyone who needs emergency care will get it. I mean, it might take some time, but, you know, there is this understanding, an understanding that a person's health is something that is a requirement. Good health is, as much as possible, a requirement of
Hmm.
living, you know, as a citizen of Australia, and our medical services, etc. There isn't any question of um, what should or should not be considered an important event in your life, I suppose, and particularly leukemia and, as you said, cervical cancer, etc. I suppose we are lucky in that we are a relatively rich country that can allow that funding to be directed in those sort of spaces, and in those developing countries, the resources aren't as plenty. But to me, and this is purely an individual's idea, is that the policy of the importance of good health
Hmm.
as part of what living in a particular country is about. Everything else, if we don't have health and well-being as part of what we are aspiring to, cancer, etc., will become an optional extra, and it's certainly not.
Hmm.
Um, that's my personal feeling, is that we are lucky, even though it's not the best system and there's a whole lot of things that are wrong with it. There are certain things that someone has cancer, there's no question of, will there be any support for that? Of course there is. There'll be, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, but there will always be a place for a child with cancer. There will always be a place and supporting for a mum or a dad, or, you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm answering that very
No,
well, but
you are. What in other words, what you're trying to say is that there's political will.
yes,
That's
yes,
the most important thing. If there
mm,
is no political will, nothing moves forward, because the government has the funding, the government
yep,
creates the policies, the government, I mean, if they want something to be done, they would find the means to do it. They would find the funding to do it. So
yes,
this to me is very, very crucial, and
mm,
in trying to see that, I mean, your government, you want your citizens healthy and to live long, and
mm.
if you want that, then you have to create incentives to ensuring that that happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the
And
political
you know,
will is, go ahead.
absolutely. Hmm. We also have some of the finest minds in our cancer research organisations and universities. I mean, and I say that with enormous pride.
Hmm.
We have Ian Fraser, who developed the cervical cancer vaccine. We have Peter Doherty, more in virus, with the T cell and virus environment. But that is something that we are relatively a small country and a young country, 25 million people, but
Yeah.
that is something I'm enormously proud of, that is shared, that we can share with the world. Absolutely.
That is awesome. I'm so proud to see what is happening there, and just hoping that it could reverberate back to my continent, Africa.
Yes.
They could take some key points,
Yes.
and kind of replicate it in our continent, in our
Yes.
countries. Because cancer is really that's why this is going on, what I do, because a lot of people have it, there's no awareness, or you're frightened, you understand, frightened.
Yes.
Why? The amount of money is going to cost you for your healing, for
Yes.
your treatment. That alone is enough to give one a stroke, just thinking
Of
about
course.
it. Yeah. So
It's a double threat to life, isn't it? Not only is the cancer, it's I don't have the money to be
I
able to
don't
fight.
have the money.
So
That is
double.
it. It's a double
Mm,
threat. Yeah. So
yes.
this is it. So this is where governments have to ensure that their policies put in place. They have to create what, that that
Mm,
um, that Australia doesn't have two heads. They don't have two governments. It's one government. People
yes.
would say, "Oh, okay, there are." Just 25 million is not much, and so they can handle it. But even if it's 1 million, there has to be political will for them to be able to see
Yes.
that the
Yes.
people that
Absolutely.
you're leading live
Mm,
well and are cared for.
yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's awesome. So, another thing I wanted to ask was how, with all that you have been able to overcome, when you were talking about losing your dad, and how your mom had to cope
Yep.
and all that, and
Hmm.
how have you been able to overcome those difficult moments you spoke about at the beginning of the show, and how have you been able to bounce back and be as lively and gracious as you are right now? There's a
Bouncing
trick
back. Mm.
somewhere.
um, a number of things. Being a mum of teenagers, or one was a teenager, and that was had its own challenges, I guess.
Yeah,
But there were certain things required to be able to do that. But to be really honest, I found my music again, Grace.
oh
I was a
wow.
performer for many years, and I was a session singer and all of those sort of things. And I'd lost my music. I'd lost music in my heart. And one of the things that I returned to was being involved in choirs, barbershop choirs, etc. And
Mm.
it's only probably within the last 2 years I actually went back on stage, probably 40 kilos heavier than I was last time I was on stage. And I was involved in a Come Swing With Us, a community theatre.
Wow.
It was just the best time. It was a long rehearsal, 3 months of rehearsals, and I had to fit in rehearsals and all that sort of stuff. But it was just
Nice.
the best thing, just the best thing. I also involved myself in Seroptimist International. I suppose I know Seroptimism is around the world, and it actually was founded in the United States.
States, yes.
That I was a president of a club for a couple of years, and the mission of Seroptimism is to educate, lead and enable women and girls around the world. So that gives you enormous scope to step out of your sense of, oh, woe is me, or gee, I'm having a hard life, to be actually, it's roll up your sleeves and have practical projects that help women and girls advance wherever it is in their
Yes,
lives.
empower them. Mm-hmm.
Yes, empower them. So back to performing, I found Seroptimism. I'm also in the local Chamber of Commerce. I'm
Nice.
coordinating, showcases for new businesses when they want to present, an event about their business. So how did I overcome it? I found me again, I found the me that I really like. And as I
Found the
say,
real Frances. You found the
yes,
real Frances.
that's right. That's right. And I really like her. I think she's
Yeah.
a pretty cool sort of
I
person.
think she's very cool.
Thank you,
That's
Grace.
awesome. I really do. I really do. So, you've kind of beat me to it, but I wanted to ask. So, all work
Yes.
and no play for
Yeah.
Frances makes. So, you've told me all that has
Hmm.
kept you the way you are and has
Yes.
given you some kind of it's given you a lot of glow what you do. It's
Yes.
evident. Yes.
Mm, mm,
It's awesome. So reflecting on your um experiences and everything,
mm-hmm.
um what letter would you write to your younger self now
Uh-huh.
as to what you wished didn't happen or you wished did happen? What would you
Mm.
say to the young Frances?
The young Frances, I would say, keep singing, keep singing. But a lot of the stuff, Fran, that you're worried about now is not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Even 5 days from now,
Hmm.
it just won't be the same. Time worrying. That's yep, that's it. Just don't, the things that you think matter really don't. It's only when you are, and this is me speaking to back to her saying, it's only when your very um, uh, your very mental state of wellness is being affected. It's when you realise the really important things, and those important things are love yourself, be ready to live life, be
Right.
a champion in your own life, be a champion of who you are. Don't ever change yourself to make other people happy.
Absolutely. Self-love first for you to be
You
able to
bet.
spread it. You
You
can't
bet.
love anybody else if you don't love yourself first.
Exactly.
And that is
With
it.
all the bits with all the bits now, 40 kilos is extra. Well, okay. Yeah, all right.
A lovely 40 kilos.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's very important. Very
Oh,
important.
wow. I think we're pressed for time now, but before
Oh, okay.
we round up, I
Yep.
would love for you to give that cancer patient or cancer survivor like me,
Mm-hmm.
um, that message of hope, that one piece of advice
Mm-hmm.
that would aid and help them towards their treatment, healing, and
Mm-hmm.
recovery. Just one piece of advice.
Okay. I'm talking to you. You are a champion. You are fighting something that only you can fight, but there's so many of us here ready to help you. That champion spirit will carry you through whatever you need. Just ask. You love you, and we want to be able to help you love you even better. You are a champion. Stand on it. Speak your truth. Your voice is so important.
Thank you, Frances. That's awesome. I'm sure they'll take a lot away from that.
I hope so. I really
Yes,
hope so.
indeed. Thank you so much for coming on. And before I sign you off, let me say a
Yes,
word to the audience.
of course.
So, there you have it, my dear audience and friends. You have heard from the amazing Frances Cahill about how to go about getting your confidence back. I am going to be putting that on my Facebook page, and I'm going to be putting it on my YouTube, part of the story, so that when you click on it, you'll be able to see and you'll be able to adhere to those tricks, as she calls them, to be able to get your confidence back, especially to us that have been affected by cancer. So, without much ado, I'm going to be signing off. Don't forget, to like us on Facebook if you haven't yet, and to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cancer Convos with Grace B. Of course, you know we're not boring, and of course, you know we're doing the right things right. So, Frances, thank you so much for coming, and we'll talk again later. Okay?
That sounds fabulous. Thank you so much, Grace. It's been an awesome, awesome
Oh,
opportunity.
thank you.
Fun.
It's the pleasure. The pleasure is mine. So,
Thank you.
good luck, everyone, and God bless. Signing out now. It's your girl, Grace B. Adios.